You lost the war before it even started.
The text message that destroyed my marriage arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and it wasn't even meant for me. Hey babe, tell your husband you're staying another night. Riley's got that private suite at the Riverside Casino, and we're just getting started. The photos I'm sending will make great blackmail material if he ever gets suspicious. Tented and 10. I stared at my phone, reading the message 3 times before it sank in. My wife Andrea's best friend Jenna had sent this to me instead of Andrea. The attached photos showed my wife of 15 years grinding against some muscled gym rat in what looked like a VIP lounge, her wedding ring nowhere to be seen. My name is David Mitchell, and until that moment, I thought I was living a pretty decent life. I'm 39, work as an IT security specialist for a mid-sized tech company in Cleveland, and I'd always considered myself one of the good guys. You know the type: faithful husband, devoted father to our 15-year-old daughter Emma, the kind of man who still opens doors and remembers anniversaries. Apparently, I was also the kind of man whose wife had been screwing around behind his back for months. I sat in my home office, the glow of my computer monitors casting eerie shadows across the walls. Andrea was supposedly at her sister's place in Columbus, helping with some family crisis. That was her story anyway. The photos told a different tale entirely. My hands shook as I scrolled through the images. There were 7 in total, each one more incriminating than the last. Andrea, laughing with a group of strangers. Andrea, dancing with the same muscular guy. Andrea, kissing him in a corner booth. The final photo showed them heading toward what was clearly a hotel elevator, his hand firmly planted on her waist. The rational part of my brain wanted to call her immediately, to scream and demand explanations. But 15 years of marriage had taught me that Andrea was a master manipulator. She'd have some story ready, some way to twist this around and make me the bad guy for not trusting her. Instead, I did what I do best. I gathered information. I opened my laptop and started digging. Social media had made cheating spouses incredibly stupid, and Andrea's friends were no exception. Within an hour, I'd traced their location to the Riverside Casino Resort, found tagged photos going back 3 weeks, and identified her lover as Riley Thompson, a personal trainer at the downtown gym where Andrea had suddenly started spending so much time. The deeper I dug, the angrier I got. This wasn't a one-time mistake or a moment of weakness. This was a calculated affair, complete with a network of enablers who thought it was hilarious to help my wife cheat on me. My phone buzzed. Another text from Jenna, this time clearly panicked. OMG, David, I'm so sorry. That message was meant for Andrea. Please don't tell anyone. It's not what it looks like. Misinformation. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Don't worry, Jenna, I won't tell anyone. Yet." The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove to my lawyer's office. Sheila Martinez had handled our wills and house purchase, and I knew she also did divorce work. More importantly, she was known for being absolutely ruthless when clients got screwed over. "David," she said, looking surprised as her secretary showed me in. "What brings you here so early?" She handed her my phone with the photos still displayed. "I need to know my options." Sheila's expression hardened as she scrolled through the images. "When did you get these?" "Last night. Her friend sent them by mistake." "And where does Andrea think you think she is right now?" "At her sister's place. Family emergency." Sheila leaned back in her chair, a predatory smile spreading across her face. "Oh, David, we're going to have so much fun with this." Sheila outlined my options. Ohio was a no-fault divorce state, but adultery could still affect asset division, especially if Andrea had been spending marital funds on her affair. The casino photos were particularly damaging. I could prove she'd been gambling with our joint credit cards. "Here's what we're going to do," Sheila said. "You're going to go home and act completely normal. Don't confront her. Don't let on that you know anything. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a private investigator document everything. When we're ready, we'll hit her with divorce papers and a complete financial audit. How long will that take?" 2 weeks, Massel. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Can you keep up the act that long? I thought about those photos, about the way Andrea had been lying to my face for months, about how her friends had been laughing at me behind my back. I can do better than that, I said. I can give her enough rope to hang herself. That afternoon, I picked up Emma from school. My daughter had always been sharp. She got that from me, thankfully, and I could tell she sensed something was wrong. "Dad, you look like someone stole your lunch money," she said as we drove home. "Just work stuff, sweetheart." "Is Mom still at Aunt Lisa's?" I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "That's what she says. Why?" Emma shrugged. "I called Aunt Lisa yesterday to ask about borrowing her camera for my photography project. She said Mom wasn't there and hadn't been there all week." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Even my 15-year-old daughter was a better detective than I'd been. "Emma," I said carefully, "what would you say if I told you that your mother might not be where she says she is?" "I'd say it's about time you figured that out." I pulled over and turned to face her. "What do you mean?" "Dad, she's been acting weird for months. New clothes, new perfume, always on her phone. She leaves early and comes home late, and when she is home, she's completely checked out." I figured you knew and were just being nice about it. The fact that my teenage daughter had figured out what I'd missed made me feel like an idiot. But it also made me realize I had an ally in this. "If I told you I was planning to divorce your mother, how would you feel about that?" Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I'd feel bad for you that it took you this long." That evening, Andrea called to check in. I put her on speaker so Emma could hear. "Hi, honey," Andrea said, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Just wanted to let you know I'll probably be here through the weekend. Lisa's really struggling with the divorce paperwork." "That's interesting," I said, "because Emma called Lisa yesterday and she said you weren't there." There was a pause. Then Andrea laughed, but it sounded forced. "Oh, I was out running errands. You know how scattered Lisa gets when she's stressed." "Of course. Well, take your time. Emma and I are managing just fine." After I hung up, Emma shook her head. "She's not even good at lying." "No," I agreed. "She's really not." Over the next few days, I played the part of the oblivious husband while secretly documenting everything. I installed tracking software on our shared tablet, which Andrea had been using to coordinate her activities. I pulled credit card statements and found thousands in charges at restaurants, hotels, and stores I'd never heard of. I even drove to the casino and spoke with a bartender who remembered Andrea and Riley quite well. "Oh yeah, those two," the bartender said. "They've been coming in for weeks. Big spenders, always requesting the VIP treatment. She tips with $100 bills like they're singles." $100 bills from our joint savings account, I realized. By Friday, I had enough evidence to bury Andrea in divorce court. But I wasn't satisfied with just winning legally. She'd humiliated me, lied to our daughter, and made me look like a fool in front of her friends. I wanted her to feel exactly how I'd felt when I saw those photos. I wanted revenge. Saturday morning, I put my plan into motion. Andrea was supposed to come home that afternoon, full of stories about helping her poor sister through her difficult time. I decided to make sure she had a proper welcome. First, I called my friend Mike Chen, who worked as a private investigator. Mike and I had been buddies since college, and I knew he owed me a favor from when I'd helped him set up his computer security systems. "I need surveillance photos," I told him. "Professional quality, suitable for court." "Of your wife?" "Of my wife and her boyfriend at the Riverside Casino. They'll probably be there tonight." Mike was quiet for a moment. "David, are you sure you want to go down this road?" "She made the choice when she decided to screw around. I'm just documenting the consequences." "Fair enough. I'll have photos by tomorrow morning." Next, I called Andrea's sister Lisa in Columbus. We'd always gotten along well, and I figured she deserved to know how her name was being used. "David," Lisa said when she answered. "How are you? I haven't talked to you guys in months." "That's actually why I'm calling. Andrea's been telling me she's staying with you this week, helping with your divorce." There was a long pause. "David, I'm not getting divorced, and Andrea hasn't been here at all." "I know. I just wanted you to hear it from me before you heard it from someone else. We're getting divorced, and she's been using you as an alibi while she cheats on me. Lisa's voice turned cold. That witch. I'm so sorry, David. What can I do to help? Just be ready to testify about this conversation if needed. Absolutely. And David, take her for everything she's worth. My final call was to Andrea's mother, Patricia. This was the nuclear option, but I figured if Andrea wanted to play dirty, I could too. Patricia answered on the second ring. David, dear, how lovely to hear from you. Hi, Patricia. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to run something by you. Andrea's been spending a lot of time at casinos lately, and I'm concerned she might have a gambling problem. But Andrea doesn't gamble. She's always been so responsible with money. I have credit card statements showing thousands in charges at the Riverside Casino over the past month. I'm worried about her, and I thought, maybe you could talk to her about getting help. Patricia's voice became sharp. Show me those statements. I'll email them to you right now. After I sent the documents, Patricia called back within 10 minutes. David, these charges are outrageous. Some of these nights, she spent more than I make in a month. Where does she think this money comes from? I honestly don't know, but I thought you should be aware. Oh, I'll be aware, all right. Andrea and I are going to have a very serious conversation. By noon, I had all my pieces in place. Mike was positioned at the casino with his camera. Lisa was furious and ready to back me up. Patricia was armed with evidence of Andrea's spending and spoiling for a fight. Sheila had divorce papers ready to file first thing Monday morning. All I had to do was wait. Andrea came home around 4 o'clock, looking guilty and carrying a bag from an expensive boutique I'd never seen before. Hi, honey, she said, kissing my cheek. I missed you. How's Lisa doing? I asked innocently. Oh, you know, it's hard, but she's getting through it. The lawyers are making everything so complicated. I'm sure they are. Did you get a chance to go out at all? Or were you stuck in the house all week? Andrea just a fraction too long. We went out to dinner a couple times. Nothing fancy, just comfort food. I nodded sympathetically. Well, I'm glad you were there for her. What did you buy? I gestured to the shopping bag. Just some clothes to cheer myself up. Being around all that sadness was depressing. The bag was from a lingerie store. I was willing to bet those clothes had never been intended for me to see. I understand completely, I said. Why don't you go get settled in? Emma's at her friend's house for the night, so we have the place to ourselves. Face lit up. That sounds perfect. Maybe we could order some dinner and watch a movie? Sure. You pick the movie, I'll handle dinner. As soon as Andrea went upstairs, I texted Mike. She's home. Expect them at the casino by 8. His reply came back immediately. Ready and waiting. At 6 o'clock, Andrea's phone rang. She answered it in the bedroom, but I could hear her through the thin walls. Hey, girl. No, I just got back. Tonight? I don't know, David wants to have a quiet evening. He doesn't suspect anything, does he? Okay, you're right. I'll think of something. She came downstairs 20 minutes later, looking apologetic. Honey, I'm so sorry, but Lisa just called. She's having a panic attack about the divorce papers, and she really needs me to come back tonight. I know we plan to spend time together, but of course, I said. Family comes first. You should go. You're not upset? Andrea, your sister needs you. I'll be fine for one more night. She kissed me again, longer this time, and I had to fight not to pull away in disgust. I love you, she said. I love you too, I lied. After she left, I called Emma at her friend's house. How did it go? She asked. Like clockwork. She's on her way to meet her boyfriend right now. Good. I hope you destroy her. Emma, Dad, she's been lying to both of us for months. She deserves whatever she gets. My daughter was right, but hearing her talk that way about her mother still made me sad. Andrea hadn't just betrayed me. She'd betrayed Emma too. At 11 p.m., Mike sent me a text. Got everything you need. These are going to hurt. The photos arrived in my email 5 minutes later. There were dozens of them, all crystal clear and professionally shot. Andrea and Riley arriving together. Andrea and Riley gambling at the blackjack table. Andrea and Riley drinking at the bar. Andrea and Riley making out in a corner booth. Andrea and Riley heading toward the elevators, his hand on her waist, just like in the previous photos. But the best shot was the last one. Andrea and Riley in the casino's VIP lounge, surrounded by other couples, with Andrea clearly visible in the background of a group photo that someone else had posted on social media. She was wearing the new lingerie she'd bought that afternoon. I forwarded everything to Sheila with a note. File the papers Monday. I want her served at work. Then I sat back and waited for the fireworks to begin. Sunday morning brought the first explosion. I was having coffee and reading the news when my phone started ringing. Andrea's number. "David," she said, her voice tight with panic. "Something terrible has happened." "What's wrong?" "Someone's been spreading lies about me. My mother called this morning screaming about casino receipts, and she's threatening to tell everyone at church that I'm a gambling problem." I made sympathetic noises. "That's awful, honey. What casino receipts?" "I don't know. Someone sent her fake credit card statements or something. She says they show me spending thousands of dollars gambling. But that's impossible." I said thoughtfully. "Those are our joint credit cards. I could check the real statements if you want." "Yes, please do that. This has to be some kind of identity theft." Lifting redhead, I pulled up our actual credit card statements on my laptop. Of course, they showed exactly what I'd sent to Patricia, thousands in casino charges over the past month. "Andrea," I said slowly, "these charges are real. Look, I'm reading them right now. Riverside Casino, March 15th, $847. Riverside Casino, March 18th, $1,200. Riverside Casino, March 22nd, $2,100. That's impossible. Honey, are you sure you haven't been gambling? There's no shame in having a problem. We can get you help." "I am not someone with a gambling issue," she screamed. "Then how do you explain these charges?" Then Andrea said, "I'll be home in an hour. We need to talk." She hung up before I could respond. I called Emma. "Your mother's coming home early. You might want to stay at Sarah's house for a while longer." "Is she going to confess?" "More likely, she's going to try to lie her way out of this." "Good luck with that." Andrea threw the front door 45 minutes later, her face flushed and her hair disheveled. She looked like she'd been crying. "Show me those statements," she demanded. I handed her the laptop. She stared at the screen for a long moment, her face growing pale. "I can explain this," she said finally. "I'm listening. I have been going to the casino, but not to gamble. I've been meeting clients there." "Clients?" "For work, HR consulting. Some of my clients prefer to meet in informal settings, and the casino has nice restaurants and quiet lounges." It was such an obvious lie that watching these almost laughed. "Andrea, these charges are all from the gaming floor and the bars. There are no restaurant charges." "Well, sometimes the meetings run long and we have drinks." $2,100 worth of drinks? She was scrambling now, her story falling apart in real time. "Look, maybe I did gamble a little. Just for fun, to be social with the clients. It's not a big deal. It's a very big deal when you're lying to me about where you are and spending our savings on gambling." "Our savings?" Andrea's voice turned defensive. "I work too, David. I have just as much right to that money as you do." "You're absolutely right, which is why I'm sure you won't mind explaining to a divorce attorney exactly how you chose to spend it." Treffin, the words hung in the air like a bomb. Andrea's face went white. "Divorce attorney? Did you really think I wouldn't find out, Andrea? Did you think I was that stupid?" "Find out about what?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos from Friday night. "About Riley. About the affair. About the fact that you've been lying to me for months." Andrea stared at the photos, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Then she tried to grab my phone. "Where did you get these? Who's been following me?" I held the phone out of her reach. "Does it matter? The question is, how long has this been going on?" "David, I can explain." "Explain what? Explain how you've been screwing around behind my back while telling me you're helping your sister? Explain how you've been spending our money on hotels and lingerie for your boyfriend? Explain how your friends have been laughing at me because they all know what a fool I am?" Started crying. Big, dramatic tears that might have worked on me 6 months ago. "It's not what you think," she sobbed. "Riley and I are just friends. Those photos are taken out of context." "Friends don't make out in casino lounges, Andrea." "We were drunk. It didn't mean anything." "So you admit you were kissing him." She realized she'd been trapped. It was just once. I was confused and lonely, and you've been so distant lately." I've been distant? I stood up, my voice rising. I've been distant? You're the one who's been coming home late every night. You're the one who's been taking mysterious trips. You're the one who won't put down your phone long enough to have a conversation with your own daughter. Don't bring Emma into this. Emma's already in this. She figured out you were lying before I did. She called Lisa and found out you weren't there. Our 15-year-old daughter is a better detective than her father. Andrea's tears stopped abruptly. You told Emma about this? I didn't have to tell her anything. She already knew something was wrong. The question is, what are we going to tell her now? We're going to tell her that we worked things out, that it was all a misunderstanding. I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. No, Andrea. We're going to tell her that her mother is a liar and a cheater, and that we're getting divorced. David, please, think about Emma. Think about the longer of them, she said. Think about Emma. Think about our family. We can work through this. Our family? I pulled up more photos on my phone. Is this your idea of family? You and Riley in a hotel room? You gambling away Emma's college fund? You lying to everyone who cares about you? Andrea's face crumpled. How many people know? Let's see. Your mother knows about the gambling. Lisa knows you've been using her as an alibi. My lawyer knows about the affair. My private investigator has photos of you with Riley going back weeks. Oh, and your friend Jenna accidentally sent me some very interesting pictures last Tuesday night. Jenna sent you pictures? Something about blackmail material in case I got suspicious. Apparently your friends think this whole thing is hilarious. Andrea sank into a chair, her head in her hands. This is a nightmare. For you, maybe. For me, it's been enlightening. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. What do you want, David? Money? I'll stop seeing Riley. I'll get counseling. I'll do whatever you want. What I want is for you to pack your things and get out of my house. Your house? This is our house. Actually, it's mostly my house. I put down the down payment with money I inherited from my father. I've been making the mortgage payments from my salary, while you've been spending your paycheck on your boyfriend. My lawyer assures me I'll get to keep it. Andrea's expression turned ugly. You bastard. You've been planning this. I've been reacting to this. There's a difference. She stood up and started pacing. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get a divorce. But don't think you're going to get away with this. I know things about you too. Such as? Such as the fact that you've been spying on me, installing tracking software, hiring private investigators, going through my personal accounts. That's invasion of privacy. It's called gathering evidence, and since we're married, I have legal access to all our joint accounts and devices. We'll see what a judge says about that. Yes, we will. I'm looking forward to it. Andrea stormed upstairs and started throwing clothes into suitcases. I could hear her on the phone, probably calling Riley or one of her friends. After about an hour, she came back downstairs with 3 bags. I'm staying at a hotel tonight, she said. We'll settle this through lawyers. That works for me. She paused at the door. You know, David, you're not the man I married. You're absolutely right, I said. The man you married was naive enough to trust you. Consider this an upgrade. After she left, I called Emma. Is she gone? Emma asked. She's gone. Good. Can I come home now? Of course. Dad? Yeah? I'm proud of you. Those 4 words meant more to me than anything else that had happened in the past week. Monday morning arrived with all the subtlety of a nuclear bomb. I was at work by 7 a.m., partly to stay busy, and partly to avoid any surprise visits from Andrea. I'd barely settled at my desk when my phone started buzzing with text messages. The first was from Sheila. Papers served at 9:15 a.m. Her coworkers got quite a show. She screamed at the process server and had to be escorted to her office by security. The second was from Mike. Your wife's boyfriend just called me asking how much I'd charge to lose the photos. I told him my rates start at 50 grand. He hung up. The third was from Emma. Mom's been calling me all morning crying. I sent her straight to voicemail. How long before this is over? I was typing a response to Emma when my desk phone rang. The caller ID showed Andrea's work number. David Mitchell. You son of a witch! Andrea's voice was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. How dare you have me served at work? Andrea, I take it you received the divorce papers? Everyone saw. My boss, my coworkers, the entire HR department. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Probably about as humiliating as finding out your wife has been cheating on you through accidentally sent text messages. This is vindictive and cruel. This is efficient. I figured you'd want to get the process started as soon as possible, since you're so eager to be with Riley. There was a pause. Then Andrea's voice turned calculating. Speaking of Riley, you should know that we're moving in together. I'm going to need my half of our assets to get settled. Your half of our assets is going to be significantly smaller than you think. We'll see about that. I've hired Patricia Williamson as my attorney. Recognize the name. Patricia Williamson was known for being aggressive in divorce cases, particularly when it came to getting large settlements for cheating wives. She was expensive, but she was good. Interesting choice, I said. I'm sure she'll do her best with what she has to work with. What's that supposed to mean? It means adultery and financial irresponsibility tend to hurt your negotiating position, even with a good lawyer, and hung up on me. I immediately called Sheila. Andrea hired Patricia Williamson. Good, Sheila said. Patricia's a shark, but she's also predictable. She'll try to paint you as controlling and vindictive, while positioning Andrea as the victim of an oppressive marriage. The problem is, your evidence makes that narrative impossible to maintain. What's our next move? Discovery. We're going to request all of Andrea's financial records, phone records, social media accounts, and employment files. We're also going to depose her friends, particularly the ones who helped cover for her. Can we do that? Oh, yes. Jenna, Tiffany, and anyone else who knew about the affair can be called to testify. If they lie under oath, they'll face perjury charges. I felt a grim satisfaction. Andrea's enablers were about to learn that actions have consequences. The rest of Monday passed quietly, but Tuesday brought fresh drama. I was in a meeting when my assistant knocked on the conference room door. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a man here to see you. He says it's urgent. I excused myself and found Riley Thompson waiting in our lobby. He was even bigger in person than he'd looked in the photos. Probably 6'3" and heavily muscled, with the kind of fake tan and perfect teeth that screamed personal trainer. David Mitchell? He asked, standing up. That's me. I'm Riley Thompson. I think we need to talk. I gestured toward a small conference room. Sure, let's talk. Once we were seated, Riley leaned forward with what I'm sure he thought was an intimidating stare. Look, man, I know you're upset about Andrea, but you need to back off. Back off from what? The private investigator, the photos, all this divorce drama. Andrea's going through a hard time, and you're making it worse. Almost laughed. Riley, are you seriously asking me to go easy on my wife because she's having a hard time cheating on me? Andrea and I have a real connection. She's not happy in her marriage, and she deserves to be with someone who appreciates her. Someone like you? Yeah, someone like me. I treat her right. Mean you help her spend my money at casinos and hotels? Riley's face reddened. That's between me and her. Actually, it's between me and her, since it's my money she's spending. But I'm curious. What exactly do you want from me? I want you to stop trying to destroy her life. Drop the divorce, delete the photos, and let her go with some dignity. And if I don't? Riley cracked his knuckles. Then maybe we have a problem. I looked this oversized gym rat trying to intimidate me in my own office and felt something snap. For months I'd been the victim, the betrayed husband, the fool who didn't see what was happening under his nose. But I wasn't a victim anymore. Riley, I said calmly, let me explain something to you. This building has security cameras in every hallway and conference room. There are witnesses who saw you come in here, and there are recordings of everything you just said. If you're threatening me, you're doing it on camera in front of multiple witnesses. Riley glanced around nervously, apparently just noticing the security camera in the corner. I'm not threatening anybody. You're just saying that if I don't drop my divorce case, we might have a problem. That sounds like a threat to me. Look, man, I just want what's best for Andrea. What's best for Andrea is learning that actions have consequences. What's best for you is leaving my office before I call security." Riley stood up, his face flushed with anger. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. And Riley, stay away from my daughter. If I find out you've had any contact with Emma, I'll have you arrested for harassment." After Riley left, I called Sheila and told her about the encounter. "Perfect," she said. "We'll add intimidation and harassment to our filing. This just keeps getting better. Better for us, worse for them. That's the idea. How's Emma handling all this?" "She's tougher than I expected. I think she's actually enjoying watching her mother face consequences for once. Smart kid. She gets that from her father." That evening, Emma and I ordered pizza and talked about the day. She'd been getting calls and texts from Andrea all day, begging her to talk sense into your father. "What did you tell her?" I asked. "I told her that you didn't need sense talked into you. You needed a better wife." "Emma, I'm 15, not 5. I know what she did was wrong, and I know you're doing what you have to do. Stop trying to protect me from reality." She was right. Emma was old enough to understand what was happening, and she deserved honesty. "Your mother wants joint custody," I said. "That means you'd spend half your time with her and Riley." Emma made a face. "Can I choose where I want to live?" "At your age, the judge will definitely consider your preference." "Good, because I choose here, with you. Even if it means seeing less of your mother." "Dad, she chose to see less of me when she started sneaking around with her boyfriend. I'm just making it official." My daughter's wisdom continued to amaze me. She'd figured out in 15 years what it had taken me months to learn. Andrea was selfish, manipulative, and not worth the pain she caused. Wednesday brought news that Andrea had been fired from her job. Apparently, the scene she'd caused when served with divorce papers, combined with questions about her judgment and trustworthiness, had convinced her employer that she was a liability. Thursday brought news that Andrea's mother had cut off contact with her after seeing the casino photos. Friday brought news that Riley had been kicked out of his gym for bringing personal drama into the workplace after several confrontations with members who'd heard about his affair with a married woman. By the weekend, Andrea and Riley were both unemployed, homeless. Riley had been living in a gym-provided apartment and rapidly running out of money. I should have felt sorry for them. Instead, I felt satisfied. They'd made their choices, and now they were living with the consequences. The war was just beginning, and I was winning. The following Monday brought an unexpected visitor to my office. Andrea's sister Lisa had driven down from Columbus and wanted to take me to lunch. "I owe you an apology," she said over sandwiches at a deli near my office. "I had no idea Andrea was using me as an alibi. If I'd known what she was doing to you and Emma, I would have put a stop to it immediately." "You couldn't have known. Andrea's gotten very good at lying." "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. David, this isn't the first time." I set down my sandwich. "What do you mean?" "Draco cheated on her college boyfriend with 3 different guys. She cheated on her first fiancé with his best friend. I thought maybe she'd grown out of it when she married you, but apparently not." "You never thought to mention this before?" Lisa looked uncomfortable. "You seemed happy together, and it was so long ago. I hoped she'd changed." But she hadn't. No. And there's something else. Last Christmas, when you thought she was shopping with our cousin Marie, she was actually with some guy she'd met online. Marie covered for her. Felt sick. How many people knew about this? More than should have. Andrea's always been good at getting people to cover for her. She makes you feel like you're helping her through a rough patch, when really, you're just enabling her to hurt people. Why are you telling me this now? Because she called me last night crying, begging me to testify that she really had been staying with me. She wanted me to lie under oath to help her in the divorce. And I told her to go to heck. I'm done covering for her, David. I'll testify for you if you need me to. Liesel's testimony would be devastating to Andrea's case, but I felt no satisfaction in it. Every revelation just made me feel more stupid for not seeing what was happening. "There's one more thing," Lisa said. "Andrea's pregnant." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "She told me last night. She's about 2 months along." Is it mine or Riley's? I don't know. But David, you need to be prepared for her to use this baby as leverage in the divorce. I sat in stunned silence. A baby changed everything. Even if it wasn't mine, Emma would have a half-sibling. Even if Andrea was a terrible wife, she might not be a terrible mother. Even if I wanted nothing to do with Andrea ever again, a child would tie us together forever. Does Emma know? I asked. I don't think so. Andrea just found out herself. I had the rest of lunch in a daze. By the time I got back to the office, I'd made a decision. I called Sheila. We need to talk. Andrea's pregnant. Crap. How far along? 2 months, according to her sister. So it could be yours or Riley's. That's what I'm thinking. This complicates things, but it doesn't change the fundamental facts. She still cheated, she still lied, and she still spent your money on her affair. Being pregnant doesn't erase any of that. But it does affect custody and support. Potentially. We'll need a paternity test as soon as possible. That evening, I sat Emma down and told her about the baby. Her reaction was not what I expected. Good, she said. Good? Now she'll have someone else to disappoint. Emma, that's your sibling we're talking about. Half-sibling, and only if it's yours, which I doubt. Why do you doubt it? Dad, she's been cheating on you for months. What are the odds this baby is yours? Emma had a point, but it still hurt to hear it said so bluntly. Regardless of who the father is, this baby is going to be part of our lives. Only if you let it be. The next morning brought a call from Andrea. She was crying again, but this time it sounded genuine. David, we need to talk. There's something important I need to tell you. I already know about the baby. There was a silence. Then, Lisa told you? Yes. David, this changes everything. We can't get divorced now. We have to think about the baby. We have to think about whose baby it is. Of course it's yours. Andrea, you've been sleeping with Riley for months. The timing doesn't exactly work in your favor. I know how this looks, but I'm telling you, this baby is yours. Then you won't mind taking a paternity test. Another silence. That's invasive and unnecessary. It's standard procedure in cases like this. Cases like what? Cases where the mother has been having an affair during the relevant time period. Andrea started crying harder. David, please. I know I made mistakes, but we can work through this. For the baby's sake. If it's my baby, I'll take full responsibility. But I'm not raising Riley's child while pretending it's mine. You're being cruel. I'm being realistic. You made your choices, Andrea. Now we all have to live with the consequences. She hung up on me again. That afternoon, Sheila called with an update. Andrea's attorney wants to meet. They're proposing a settlement. What kind of settlement? 50-50 split of all assets, joint custody of Emma, and full support for the new baby regardless of paternity. Absolutely not. I figured you'd say that. What's your counteroffer? She gets 20% of liquid assets, no claim on the house, supervised visitation with Emma until the baby's paternity is established, and no support if the baby isn't mine. That's harsh. She's lucky I'm offering 20%. If she'd been honest from the beginning, we might have been able to work something out. But she lied, cheated, and tried to manipulate me with this pregnancy. I'm done being generous. Annihilated. You've make called back. They rejected your counteroffer. Patricia says they'll see you in court. Good. I'm looking forward to it. That I went to see a movie. As we were leaving the theater, we ran into Jenna, the friend who had accidentally sent me the incriminating photos. David, she said, looking uncomfortable. How are you doing? I'm doing well, Jenna. Thanks for asking. And Emma, you look so grown up. Emma gave her a cold stare. Hi, Jenna. Listen, David, I want you to know how sorry I am about that text. I never meant for you to see those photos. Anna, no. You meant for me to remain ignorant while you all laughed at me behind my back. Dismissal's face reddened. It wasn't like that. What was it like? Andrea was going through a hard time. She felt trapped and unhappy, and we were just trying to support her. By helping her cheat on me? By helping her figure out what she wanted. Willing the was Emma Sov. What she wanted was to have her cake and eat it too. She wanted to stay married to my dad for his money and stability, while screwing around with her boyfriend for excitement. That's not figuring out what you want. That's just being selfish. Jenna looked shocked. Emma, that's a very harsh way to look at it. It's an accurate way to look at it. Your Morse loves you very much. Loves herself very much. There's a difference. Jenna turned back to me. David, I hope you know that I never encouraged Andrea to hurt you. I just wanted her to be happy. At my expense. I didn't think about it that way. That's the problem, Jenna. None of you thought about it from my perspective. You all decided that Andrea's happiness was more important than my feelings, Emma's stability, or the vows Andrea made when she married me. Marriage is complicated. No, marriage is simple. You either keep your promises or you don't. Andrea chose not to. Jenna left looking defeated. Emma watched her go with satisfaction. I can't believe I used to like her, Emma said. She's not a bad person, just a weak one. Same thing, in my book. As we walked to the car, I realized that Emma was right. Jenna wasn't evil, but her weakness had enabled Andrea's betrayal. In some ways, that made her just as culpable. The divorce trial was still weeks away, but the battle lines were clearly drawn. Andrea and her allies would portray her as a victim of an oppressive marriage, who deserved sympathy and financial support. I would portray her as a selfish manipulator who had betrayed her family and squandered their resources. One of us was right, and one of us was wrong. Soon, a judge would decide which was which. 3 weeks before the trial, I received a call that changed everything. It was from Crystal Martinez, Riley's ex-girlfriend. Is this David Mitchell? Yes. My name is Crystal Martinez. I think we should meet. Why? Because I have information about Riley Thompson and your wife that you're going to want to hear. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Crystal was a pretty woman in her late 20s, with the kind of tired eyes that suggested she'd seen too much drama for her age. Riley and I dated for 2 years, she began. I broke up with him 6 months ago, when I found out he was cheating on me. With Andrea? With Andrea and at least 3 other women. Riley's what you can still look at. Riley spoke to me, and at least 3 other women. Riley's what you'd call a serial cheater. He targets married women because they're less likely to make demands or cause scenes. What kind of demands? Mostly, Riley doesn't have a real job. He gets women to pay for his lifestyle by making them feel special and desired. Your wife isn't his first married girlfriend, and she won't be his last. Crystal pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages. These are from last month. Riley was bragging to his friend about how much money he was making off your wife. Look at this one. The text read, Andrea gave me another $2,000 today. These desperate housewives are so easy. Tell them they're beautiful, and they'll pay for everything. I felt sick reading it, but I kept scrolling. The messages got worse. She's talking about leaving her husband for me, as if I'd ever marry some middle-aged cheater with a kid. I'm just going to milk this until she figures out I'm not interested. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because Riley destroyed my life, and I want him to pay for it. He stole money from me, cheated on me, and then told everyone I was crazy when I tried to expose him. Your wife is about to learn the same lesson I did. What lesson is that? That Riley Thompson is a predator who preys on vulnerable women. The difference is, your wife isn't vulnerable. She's just selfish. She deserves what she gets. Crystal gave me copies of all the text messages, along with photos of Riley with other women and documentation of his financial scams. It was a treasure trove of evidence that would destroy both Riley and Andrea in court. There's one more thing, Crystal said. Riley's been telling people that the baby your wife is carrying is definitely his. He's planning to use it to get child support from her after she divorces you. He thinks the baby is his? He knows it is. According to these texts, your wife told him she hadn't slept with you in months. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place. Andrea had been planning this divorce for months, setting up her new life with Riley while systematically draining our joint accounts. The baby was just another part of her plan, a way to get sympathy and support while transitioning to her new relationship. I thanked Crystal and drove home in a daze. Emma was waiting for me with news of her own. "Mom called," she said. "She wants to take me to dinner tomorrow night to explain her side of things." "What did you tell her?" "I told her I'd go, but only if she answered some questions honestly." "What questions?" "Like whether she ever loved you, or if she was just using you until something better came along." "Emma, that's pretty harsh." "Dad, I'm tired of pretending this is complicated. She's to me she was to live with what you know." "Mom, I told her I'd go." "Dad, I'm tired of pretending this is complicated. Mom made her choice. Now she has to live with it." The next evening, while Emma was at dinner with Andrea, I met with Sheila to go over Crystal's evidence. "This is devastating," Sheila said, reading through the text messages. Riley basically admits to using Andrea for money, and Andrea admits to planning the divorce months in advance. What does this mean for the trial? "Hubby, it means we're going to win everything. The house, the savings, custody of Emma, and no support obligations for the baby." "Are you sure?" "David, your wife systematically planned to defraud you while carrying on an affair with a known con artist. No judge is going to reward that behavior. Relinquish." Emma came home from dinner with Andrea looking grim. "How did it go?" I asked. "About as well as you'd expect. She spent the whole time crying and blaming you for forcing her to look elsewhere for happiness." "Did she admit to the affair?" "Remorse. She said it was complicated and that I was too young to understand. Then she told me I was being manipulated by you and that someday I'd realize she was the victim in all this." "What did you say?" I asked her if Riley knew he was dating a victim or if he thought he was dating a cheater. She didn't have an answer for that. The trial began on a Monday morning in early June. The courthouse was packed with friends and family from both sides. Andrea's mother had flown in to support her, despite their recent estrangement. My parents had come down from Michigan to support me. Andrea looked terrible. She'd gained weight from the pregnancy and stress, and her usual polished appearance had been replaced by a frumpy maternity dress and minimal makeup. Riley sat in the back row, looking uncomfortable in an ill-fitting suit. Patricia Williamson made her opening statement first, painting Andrea as a victim of a controlling marriage who had made some poor choices, but deserved compassion and financial security. Sheila's opening statement was devastating. She laid out the evidence methodically. The systematic financial fraud, the elaborate lies, the manipulation of friends and family, and the calculated plan to leave me for a con artist. The first day of testimony focused on the financial evidence. Bank statements, credit card records, and casino receipts painted a clear picture of Andrea's spending habits. By lunch, it was obvious that she'd spent nearly $30,000 of our joint savings on her affair. The second day brought witness testimony. Lisa testified about Andrea's history of cheating and her request to lie under oath. Jenna testified about her role in covering for Andrea, looking miserable the entire time. Even Andrea's mother testified that she'd been shocked by the evidence of gambling and financial irresponsibility. The third day was when Crystal testified. Her evidence was so devastating that Patricia Williamson barely bothered to cross-examine her. Riley's text messages were read aloud in court, and several spectators gasped at his callous comments about Andrea. On the fourth day, Andrea took the stand in her own defense. It was a disaster. Under Sheila's cross-examination, she admitted to lying about her whereabouts, spending joint funds without permission, and carrying on an affair for months. When asked about Riley's text messages calling her desperate and easy, she broke down crying. The final day was closing arguments. Patricia Williamson did her best to salvage the case, but the evidence was overwhelming. Sheila's closing argument was a masterpiece of legal rhetoric, painting Andrea as a calculating manipulator who deserved no sympathy or financial reward. The judge deliberated for less than an hour. "In the matter of Mitchell versus Mitchell," he began, "I find that the petitioner has proven grounds for divorce based on adultery and financial misconduct. The respondent's behavior shows a pattern of deception and manipulation that is fundamentally incompatible with the institution of marriage. Awarded me the house, 90% of our liquid assets, and full custody of Emma with supervised visitation for Andrea. He also ordered a paternity test for the baby, with support obligations contingent on the results. Andrea collapsed in her chair, sobbing. Riley had disappeared from the courtroom sometime during closing arguments. As we left the courthouse, Emma squeezed my hand. "Is it over?" she asked. "It's over." "Good. Can we go home now?" "We can go home." That evening, as Emma and I sat on our porch watching the sunset, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The war was over and we had won. 2 weeks later, the paternity test results came back. Riley was the father. 3 weeks after that, I heard that Andrea and Riley had broken up when she discovered he'd been cheating on her with 2 other women throughout their relationship. A month later, I heard that Andrea had moved back in with her parents and was working at a department store to support herself and the baby. I felt no satisfaction in her downfall, but I felt no regret either. She had made her choices, and now she was living with the consequences. Emma and I were building a new life together, one based on honesty and mutual respect. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was a better life than the one I'd been living. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well.